Welcome into the bonus episode. This is your host, Adam Rothstein. Today I am talking about the anti-Semitism hearings on college campuses within the U.S. House and the House of Representatives grilling them. So one of the presidents, I believe it was at, there was definitely one at Harvard, and then it said, and then the other was at Penn State, and Liz something or other, she'll be forgotten in the history books soon enough. She said that, it depends on the context of these calls for violence. And it doesn't violate their student body code of conduct, essentially. That's what came out of all three of them. And all three women, not that that means anything, but just pointing that out there. These three women could not just say a three-lettered word, which was yes. That yes, it is, that it goes against your student code of conduct as well, and that this would have been, that had it been, let's just take black people or Asians, or an entire race of people, you would have, those people who were calling for those acts of genocide or the slaughter of all insert group in there, they would have been, those people calling for that violence would have been off campus, and expelled in a heartbeat, and they weren't, and there were definitely things. There's definitely things going on in one of the schools in New York, and at Cornell, as well, or different school. Can't think of the other school. One of the schools in New York, rather, right now, but certainly the banging on the doors video that went out, and I believe it was at the other school, but a lot coming out of these universities as well. And this clearly does affect Jews on campus, obviously. It also affects where the potential freshmen or incoming freshman class are going to go to school, and also the athletes. For many people that are Jewish and play hockey, like myself, they wanted to play hockey. They wanted to be on a college team. They wanted to get an education while they played, and they didn't want to play in juniors or junior B or junior A or the ECHL or QMJHL if you're in Canada. They didn't want to do that. They wanted to go to the universities, get an education, get a good job, because they were not because they just, the competition was too much for them. And I do think that it is a shame that these great universities that once were great universities, have crumbled too. And all three of these schools have NCAA hockey teams, all of them. And Penn State's the latest one too. And for those of you that have, maybe a niece or nephew, or someone that is going to go play college hockey, the one thing I have to say is that reject these three schools. Reject these three schools. Don't let them reject you. You're not applying for them. And besides, Penn State was always a school known for its partying and its bad habits and drinking, and it made Towson look like, angels in comparison. They're notoriously bad with partying. That was their history. Even though they still had many students come out and just do well. And right now, the students coming out of these universities essentially have, automatic cancel culture where it's, like when you come there and you come into the job market, right? And you are a newcomer as well, and you say, oh yeah, I got my degree from Penn State. And then it's like, they look at that, it's like, oh, from that college whose president is a bigot? No, we're going to dismiss you. We'll find someone else. We'll take the kid from community college. Thank you. Have a nice day. That is what's going to happen now. That's what's going to happen. I don't know what to say. Or what else. I'm not sure what else could possibly happen. Maybe there's some, maybe there would be a Penn State sympathizer. But I mean, if you got it in the early to mid 2010s and you're job hunting and you're looking for a new job, I don't think it'll affect you just as well. But for those athletes, whether you're a hockey player, whether you are a basketball player, just name the sport, I don't think you should represent this university. This university does not have the proper values that any student body should be proud of. If they're gonna do this on campus and just cannot say yes, YES, to that is calling for the genocide of all Jews against your student code of conduct, I don't think anyone should be going to Penn State or Harvard or MIT. And these are that's where, MIT is where so much research was done. I wanted to get in there. I think, and I think I just applied there and never even got a response back from them at all. But and I wasn't going to apply to Penn State as well. I didn't want to go there as well. But these teams have, Jewish athletes, hockey players, lacrosse players, like soccer players. They got these Jewish athletes and baseball players that are going to your school and representing you and potentially winning you championships. And you cannot throw them under the bus. You cannot disrespect them. Even if they weren't doing well, or they're bad athletes, or you have a bad team or something. You don't do that because you want good athletes, regardless of their background, to represent you. And all you're doing is outing yourself. You're just showing that you're either a bigot or you can't do the right thing under pressure. And if that's the case, Penn State, MIT, Harvard, go fire these people. Kindly go fire these people, because they want to just say this shit. They want to show their ass, and I'm trying not to swear here, but I don't know how else to put it. But if they want to show their ass on Capitol Hill, let them. I believe in the First Amendment. I would like to know who these bigots are. I don't want to censor them, because when they do, it's like, thank you kindly, I'm going to go over here now and fuck you sort of thing. That's my mentality when you say that. Absolutely. I do want to address that I'm not going to censor these people, and I would like to know who the bigots are, and I see them as the bigots. And maybe I lose some email subscribers off of this. This is not going on the main podcast feed. So if you're subscribed here, congratulations, you're getting this message. So right now you'll get this, but feel free to share this message too. I mean, it's going on my email for those on my email list, and as well, it's not going on there. If you're on the email list, then this will be, obviously this is a free episode because you're listening to it. as well. And I'm not going to put this one behind a paywall. I want to grow the sport of hockey. I can't do that when you have 3 prominent universities in the Northeast, or Pennsylvania and then Massachusetts, and as well, and Massachusetts especially, which is, hockey central on the East Coast, at least. Boston is hockey central. And you got Harvard there, and you have MIT in the area, and actually, they got hockey teams, they got club hockey teams, they got roller hockey teams, all there, and it just turns people off, and we don't want to represent schools like that anyway. We don't. And for those of you who are living in the Boston area or are considering going to the Boston area, I think just go to Boston College or maybe Boston University or UMass or any other school in Boston and as well. And you can go and play college hockey in the club leagues too. Some of you, even D1 to D3 as well, because you can absolutely have a good time doing that. And I think it's much easier on you as well. There's less pressure. The NHL scouts aren't looking at you, and you can actually have a little bit more fun. And it is more fun to play in the ACHA than the NCAA, and less pressure, good guys that actually want to build you up and make you a better person. So that's what the ACHA represents. The college presidents don't want to do that. They want to, all they're doing is just, promoting hatred, promoting bigotry as well. And it's a shame what the universities have come to as well. There was a commenter on YouTuber that said defund the universities, and I do agree. And for most of you that know people that are going into college or have kids or have anyone in college and as well, and they want to play college hockey or something else, here's what I would say to the kids coming in. I say just play Junior B and travel a little. See the country too. If you can play juniors, you'll see the country too. Even the ECHL goes a little into the central part of the country as well. And I think if you're good enough, if you've played AAA a long time or you've gotten to AAA and you can really handle yourself, I think you should see what you can do in the juniors and also try out for the ECHL at some point. But if you can play Junior B and play in the ECHL, I think you're going to be good. I think you're good overall for making it there. And maybe you one day get to, if you're really up there and you really want to give it a go and you want to give it a shot, go for the NHL, But it doesn't have to be through college. And, and not everyone's going to be Adam Fantilli, Bedsy wasn't even in, Connor Bedard wasn't even done with high school. Odds are that's not going to happen for most of you. And he was, and it's a shame. And I want to create this alternate path for hockey players to find a different way to play in the NHL. And they don't have to do it through college. It's expensive enough for a university to do it. The NCAA doesn't really profit off of it unless you're really Boston University and, I guess Boston College, Boston University, Minnesota, any of the Michigan teams, and maybe Wisconsin, at that point. And a lot of people attended the our ACH games as well against Villanova, Temple. We played them. And we had a lot in attendance on a Saturday night too, even at our home too, because also you had the skating rink going, coming around as well, and those wanting to see the local team in Abington, which was us too. So there's other ways we can do this. There's other ways we can do this all the time, and it doesn't have to be through college. I really do hope that these universities fire them. They whoever the next presidents are of these universities apologizes to the student bodies immediately on day one and say that the last president or the last presidents of the universities were entirely wrong. They were bigoted, and they should be condemned totally. If whoever the next presidents are of those universities that say that, 100% praise as well. Now remember, I genuinely think college has become, an extra piece of toilet paper that you can wipe your ass with, but, there are definitely still some uses for college too. But I think that the best thing that you can do is to find a mentor that can guide you, because you're not going, because the real test when you get out onto the job market is to knowing how to do the job, and just being able to fill in a Scantron on a test and get an A on that is not really an indication of how you're going to perform on the job. Learning, for those of you that know, I've made audiobooks. I didn't learn that in college. I wanted to learn that to make an extra source of money and market my audiobooks. And by the way, you should go check out Growing Hockey as well. But you learn so much by doing and failing, 98 times so you can succeed twice. You learn more out in the real world too, and not in a classroom. And I wish, part of me, there are definitely days that wish that I got, that I didn't. I was definitely going to college regardless. But if I got rejected from Towson, it would not have been the end of the world. And, just do your community college classes and save money too. And that's another thing too, is saving money as well. Because saving money on everything, especially these days, with inflation and everything, it's killing us. Because most kids don't know what they want to be for the rest of their lives. And I know that this world can be scary, and that you don't know what you want to be. And then you wind up in a profession where you don't think of the title like, I'd like to do, be a maintenance mechanic for drills and on a line, or like on a factory, or in a factory or something like that. Like some weird obscure title, no kid wants that. Some will say engineer or architect or something naturally, but or one word, maybe even accountant if you're a really nerdy kid. But they'll say doctor, lawyer, those jobs. But I think if you want to be work with programming, want to be a web developer, go learn from freecodecademy.com or Free Code Camp or whatever we're doing, Khan Academy as well. Because, hockey, sports, it can only take you so far. And then, you could get injured too. So you always have to have a good education regardless, and never stop learning. And it's not too much for, $1.13 in late fees, from the Boston Library that you can't do on your own, or whatever Matt Damon said in Good Will Hunting, but I do want to promote the game in a fashion too. I mean, they don't need your money. These universities really don't. And even though college hockey takes precedent over junior A and junior B on television, go to the games too. And also, go to the AHL games too. I mean, I went to one too. So, I mean, many of these people that are in the NHL do not have a college degree, and because they're starting at 19, 20 years old, with really the Adam Fantilli is maybe the one exception, off the top of my head. These kids are coming in at 19 too, and 19 and 20. They're not, I mean, like maybe Stamkos took an AP class up in Canada or something, or Crosby took it. Crosby probably did not at this point, but certainly did not get his bachelor's anywhere. But it's not. But if people are gonna act in the way of, this sort of stuff, if this sort of stuff is going to be promoted on campus, then I don't think we should participate in this anymore. And some will ask me, Adam, do you regret going to college? Many days, yes, because I mean, even though I paid off all my debt at 25 and worked so much overtime and sold so many toys and video games and worked long hours and loaded up in savings and didn't go on dates and stuff and didn't ask out girls and spent so much time just paying that off just so I could live a life, and then Corona came too, and then that came too, and then it's like, what was that for? I wasted all this time, and I wasn't big on going out every night. I mean, I went to the Towson hockey parties, and that was pretty much it. I wasn't a big drinker. I didn't really do that. That didn't interest me in any way. And maybe you want to be the party guy and be like, Michelangelo and be a party dude, but your drinking days are going to end. They'll have to end, whether you're working a 9 to 5, you're your own boss, or you actually have to go and be a student, because F's are not going to cut it. In that, if you really want to be someone like an accountant, doctor, lawyer, college is pretty much the only option at that point, or engineer as well. You could do, and those really are the four things there. And maybe you could argue computer science or information systems as well, but there's so many things you can learn online right now, and we need and the sport. And let me go back to the cost of the sport of hockey. It is the most expensive sport, pretty much in the world, or at least in regards to team sports. The only other exception is polo, which no one watches. And we've got that, and as well, I mean, you've got so many pads you have to buy. Why the heck are you going to spend money on an education and go out of state to universities that, despise you and promote this ideology and have a student body that's, backed by these presidents? It's not worth it. I want to put this out because I don't get political much on this, either of the bonus episode or the main episode. Yesterday, I was only talking about Victor Hedman and him playing 1,000 games, and I should be talking about, the fun stuff as well. But at the same time, when this shows up, when we have universities, saying with these presidents, and certainly with NCAA hockey teams, this hurts us. This hurts every hockey player now because that's going to hurt their future, and no one wants to. And no one should want to play for them, and there's no reason to. Certainly not at Penn, and certainly not with the cost of everything. Certainly not at, and get your degrees for free, or close, or as cheaply as possible. They've got so much. They've got the MIT team is actually a part of the ACHA. I had to correct myself there after all of this, but Penn State and Harvard are part of the NCAA, and they can't, and they shouldn't get a pass too. And there's, as well, I don't care if they're like the old, or some of the oldest universities in the country. It's inexcusable, and whatever division or league you want to join it because you want to play the game. Don't put a university badge over it. You go there for your education, and then you represent the school, and then you enjoy it. If you really want to go to like Michigan Tech and like just be a techie guy and like learn IT there, it's fine. But for the majority of us, we should get our degrees cheaply as possible. We can do this online too. If we don't have to go to school all the time, and we can find ways to work out with the junior coaches on doing this part-time. You don't have to get your degree at 22 or 23 either. It doesn't have to be that way. And you'll save so much as well. And if you have to go in person for something in your local area, you turn in, you put your backpack in a certain locker, you put on headphones if you have reading accommodations, and you take your test, and you pass it with flying colors. And that's how it should be done for most people, because and like the college experience and everything too. Like there's many people that don't even get that too. And for those of you that have played hockey or are just really passionate about it and you want to go to the games, it's always education that should come first. And I don't think college really has really served us overall. Not the schools with, I'm not talking about the Harvard, MITs, and Penn States of the world. I'm just talking in general because, there's so much new information that's coming out, and they essentially, a college degree barely matters anymore. And most of us really do want to play the game, and you don't have to, some people don't get their first real adult job until they're almost 30, and they're like working long hours and still on overtime, and they are not on salary. If you make progress, if you're a good person, if you work hard, you'll find your way in life. I genuinely believe that. I don't want to give these three bigots any more money. I'm not even, and I'm not donating to Towson, but I haven't heard anything out of the president's mouth that as well. I mean, nothing like that, certainly. And if there ever was, I would gladly do another episode like this and talk about it being a Towson alumni too. I'm not donating because I'm not because I don't see the purpose of it. When I loaded up in debt, I didn't even get a job in this degree I had, which was economics. I was not in any financial institution. All right, I'll just leave it at that. And I did, and but working in an office and learning from a mentor and then maybe getting a job there or just going off and getting a job somewhere else with the stuff you learned is probably the best thing that we could do right now. Go to mentorships, apprenticeships, whatever, as well. And then, if you're playing house league at over 18, if you have certain leagues, or if you're playing pond hockey and you just want to play for fun and not even organized hockey, that also works too. And that's probably better because, again, you have the equipment and as well ready to go, and you're not paying any ice fees, or you're paying, the cheapest amount of ice fees possible. That's another option too. Oh, man. I wanted to, do this segment because, there are some bad people in this world, and I will speak out against these bad people who just cannot condemn, horrible speech and horrible people who do horrible actions, regardless of the race, background, ethnicity. If it's bad, it's bad. Never forget it. And I hope you found value in this episode. All right. Please share this with everyone you know. This is going out on all the channels and maybe I'll even put this one out on YouTube. So with that being said, everyone, take care.